half of the problem is because you work at home, you always feel like you could do more. I don't, there's never that, oh yeah, I did enough today. It's always like, oh, I could have written 500 more words, or, I could have edited another chapter, or, whatever it is that we have on our plate today. So sometimes I'm like, okay, I've written all my words, what else can I do? But if the writing is still flowing, then I do want to give that more attention, because maybe tomorrow it won't flow as well. So I would say it's about balance, but honestly, I haven't found that yet. So it's kind of going with the flow for the most part.
Welcome to the Author Like a Boss podcast, the podcast for indie authors who want to improve their writing, up-level their marketing, make money with their books, and have fun doing it. Now, on to the show with your host, Ella Barnard.
Hey bosses! In this episode with Eliza Boyd, she shares her challenges around transforming her writing into a business. It's a common challenge, and that's why I created the Author Like a Boss masterclass, which tells you exactly how to successfully serve your business and become an empowered six-figure indie author. You can sign up for the free masterclass at authorlikeaboss.com/ALAB masterclass. In the masterclass, you'll learn about the exclusive Author Like a Boss model, and you'll learn about the 12-week group program that has you implement the model and takes you from aspiring author to badass author professional. Can't wait to see you there. Hello, everybody. Hello, bosses. We are here today with Eliza Boyd. Eliza Boyd is a sweet contemporary romance and women's fiction author. She's also an avid reader. She writes novels, short stories, poetry, and whatever else strikes her fancy. Born and raised in northern Illinois, she now lives in sunny Arizona with her husband and plethora of animals. When she's not reading, writing, or working, she can be found walking around her neighborhood for exercise, not for stalking, taking photos of her pets, or catching up on her favorite shows. And catching up really means binge watching. Welcome to the show, Eliza.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. We know you're a writer. We know that you're not exercising. We know that you're stalking your neighborhood, saving things up for people to put in your books.
Not gonna lie, that's pretty true.
You're like, ooh, look at what Sally said about somebody. Okay, so you've told us. So you've told us a little. We know a little bit about you now, but can you tell us about yourself and your author journey?
Yeah, sure. So I've been writing since about 2013. I had been able to quit my full-time job to freelance edit. Actually, that's how I started. And my last day was October 31st, and the first day was November 1st, which we all know is the first day of NaNoWriMo. And I was terrified that all of my editing clients were going to leave. So I was like, I need to do something else, and I know I want to write, so I'm going to start writing. But of course, I was far too busy with my editing clients, so I didn't get through that Nano. But I have done more Nanos since, which was awesome. I published my first book in 2015, which was a total women's fiction kind of thing that I have since unpublished because I relaunched my name this year to focus really on clean, sweet romance. And right now I'm writing about small towns and billionaires. I know, it's a lot. I'm hoping to bring billionaires into my small town at some point. That hasn't happened yet.
Oh, they're not together.
Not yet, no.
Okay.
Nope, they're two different series so far.
Okay. Because I'm like, small towns and billionaires. And that sounds like some kind of new story that I haven't heard before. But, I went and visited a town in Wyoming one time called Lander, Wyoming.
Ooh.
So shout out to Lander, you guys, but it's a very small town. And it reminded me, like, how you see like Hallmark movies?
Oh, yes.
And there's places that you're like, that town, like, is so perfect.
Yeah.
Like, where is that town? Lander, Wyoming.
Oh my gosh,
is
really?
that town. I was like, this town is adorable.
Aww.
And it's a little town, but it's full of really rich people.
Oh, wow.
And not as rich people, but like, I think the rich people make it so cute. But anyways, it would be a good setting for all of that to say. It could probably be a good setting for a billionaire small town romance.
Ooh, well, I love it. I'm excited. Now I have to go look that up.
You're like, look it up. It's yeah.
I'm calling dibs. Like,
Yeah. know, it was such a cute town. I was like, this is adorable. I love this town.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't realize these towns actually existed.
That's
okay.
so cool.
Yeah, sorry. Off topic, but I get really passionate about books, and so I'm like, if that's a book that you could write.
I feel you 100%. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. This is amazing.
So can you tell us, okay, so a couple of things struck my curiosity in what you were saying, which is you took down the women's fiction, which was your first one, and then you said you're relaunching under a different name.
No, I actually used the same name. I kept Eliza.
Same name.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened there? Like what? We need more detail.
Yeah, no, here we go. So, I wasn't focused. When I was publishing before, I had another job. So I wasn't treating my author career like a career or a business at all. So I was just kind of writing whatever. I wasn't very consistent with my releases. Nothing was branded really well. It just was kind of whatever. I didn't take it seriously. So starting in December of 2017, I started writing my Small Town series. And I was going to launch it in 2018, but my life naturally blew up right before I could do that. So we put it off for the year, and I kept writing, and I built up my stack of books that I was going to publish this year, being really focused on the genre I wanted to write in and making sure all my branding was really tight and all together. So I took the old stuff down because it didn't really jive with what I was doing now.
Okay. So the old stuff has not come back up.
No, and it probably won't.
Okay. Okay. So more questions. And you guys, I'm not going to leave us out. I'm going to touch on all the questions that I have, but they're not related to each other specifically topic wise. So my first question is, you have this writing routine, like you quit your job. And I love how, like, when you quit your job, like, you're like, I'm going to have so much more time because I quit my job. And anybody who's ever done that, or even if you've taken like a week off and you're like, I'm going to get stuff done, I'm going to have so much free time. And it's like time just fills up.
Yep.
Regardless. You're like, I thought I had 40 additional hours per week. Where did they go? And you're like, well, you filled it up with other stuff. No. So can you talk a little bit about maybe that transition and how it looks to take your writing more seriously, as you were saying?
Yeah, it was kind of hard at first because, like you said, when you work at home, you think you have all of this time. And really, it's like you do, but it kind of just fills up with all these other things. I wanted to also take care of my house better and be able to go to lunch with friends, or, I don't know, walk my dogs, or all of these things. And then all of a sudden it's like, where do you have time for your writing? So I've had to get more disciplined in my time. And even right now, I'm trying to transition back into that. Sometimes it works really well. And then sometimes I kind of hit a wall with the book I'm working on. So I have to switch things up. So right now I'm trying to like reinvent my schedule yet again. So it's never the same, like from month to month. But I really do love, one of the things that stays consistent is that I love getting all of my writing done in the morning. That makes me feel like I have the rest of the day to do all of the other things that I also want to do because I'm home all the time. So I get to take care I was going to say I get to take care of my house better, but that hasn't made the afternoon list quite yet. I do like the basics. It's not filthy over here, but it could be a whole lot better.
You're a real person, and I thank you for sharing that.
Am. And I half of the problem is because you work at home, you always feel like you could do more. I don't, there's never that, oh yeah, I did enough today. It's always like, oh, I could have written 500 more words, or, I could have edited another chapter, or, whatever it is that we have on our plate today. So sometimes I'm like, okay, I've written all my words, what else can I do? But if the writing is still flowing, then I do want to give that more attention because maybe tomorrow it won't flow as well. So I would say it's about balance, but honestly, I haven't found that yet. So it's kind of going with the flow for the most part.
I like that so much because I have the same thing, and I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm just going to set some intentions for what I want to get done the next day. Mm-hmm. Some of them will get done. Some of them won't.
Yeah, cross your fingers.
I have so much to work on. There's so much to do. And what you say about working from home is 100% true. In fact, my husband and I, when I used to work at my old, at a job outside of work, mm-hmm. we'd come home and we'd watch a show together, and that would be relaxing. Mm-hmm. I can't do that anymore because I'm always at home. And so I'm always in the mode of like I could be doing something.
Yes.
The only time that we relax together is when we're not at home together.
Oh, wow. That's tough.
like or sleeping.
Yeah.
But like it's like I'm like, oh, I could be doing something though.
Yes.
Because I'm at home. This is my work environment now.
Yep. I always have that feeling. It is tough. It is tough. And then I go, okay, I'll watch the show, but I'll also work on plotting another book.
Yes.
And then I'm never getting anything done because I'm not watching the show. I'm not relaxing, and I'm certainly not plotting.
Yes.
It's hard.
Yeah, I've started. I know I do the same thing. Okay, I've started because I interviewed Jessica Brody, who wrote Save the Cat Writes a Novel, and she has these 15 beats, and I was like, I can't. She has them memorized like back and forth.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't even know. Like I have to get to learn these beats, and I thought a good way to do it is to go through some of my favorite books and beat them out. Like, oh, where's that beat? Where's that beat? So now when I'm watching TV, I'm also have a book with me and a notebook. And I'm like, and what's the beat in this?
Yep.
What's this beat? Where's this beat at? Like, and I'm like, this isn't, and I like it, but it's not relaxing. It's work.
Right. Even watching our favorite shows has turned into work. It's like research now,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm like, I need to watch The Martian because that's one of the examples she uses in her book.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't watched it yet. And I'm like, that's not relaxing.
No, because it's like homework.
I know, but it's fun. But
Yeah.
I'm like, anyways, okay.
No, I feel you.
So how many, just so we know, now that you are writing as your job, how many hours/words are you putting in each day?
Ooh, good question. It varies from day to day, and I've been in kind of a weird place because I still also edit for clients, and I try to balance that. I only have a couple clients that I still work with, so I do get to do most of my time is spent on my own books. I go for chapters more than words. I don't like to stop in the middle of in the middle of a scene or a chapter. I really like to kind of finish it out. So I try to do 1 to 2 chapters a day. That's usually 3,000 to 4,000 words. And that feels pretty good. But of course, there's always, well, could I have written one more? But I think doing the chapters kind of relieves some of that guilt because a whole chapter is another, hour or two, maybe more depending on how long it is. So no, I probably don't have another hour or two to squeeze, into everything else that I do. So if I go by chapters and do like 1 or 2, then I feel pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. And so how long does it take you to write a book?
Ooh, I have written a couple in less like 7 days. So sometimes,
Wow.
sometimes I'll get on like a writing binge and I'll write like 7,000 or 8,000 words every day for a few days, and then I get a book done because my books are about 40 to 50,000 words. My my small town romance are up to 65,000, so those ones are a little bit more. So I don't write those ones as quickly, but my 40,000 word billionaire books don't really take that long, so I can do one in a week, but I want to get into more of a routine or more of a schedule where I'm, every day I'm writing 1 or 2 chapters, so I could do that within 2 weeks and then use the 3rd week to revise probably the book before, because I really like to let a book sit for a month or so that I come back to it with fresh eyes. So I do have to be quite ahead in my release schedule. Which I am currently. I'm on that verge of like, if I don't get working on this book now, then I won't be anymore. So I feel like that deadline that I really like breathing down my neck now. But yeah, that's usually like the sweet spot.
Okay, so now you're an editor, so that makes a difference in how you're writing. Because a lot of people are like, I can get a book done in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I plot too. I
Okay.
a reformed pantser. I've turned into a plotter. I used to just, because before, like I said, it just was kind of on the side or for fun. I'd have a story to tell, so I just kind of write it, and it could take as long as I wanted. Now that I'm focusing on this like a business, I do plan to release way more frequently than I used to. So plotting has really helped me stay on track, stay on schedule, and write faster. I do sprints with a couple of my friends. I know you had Catherine Bogle on your podcast. Yep, she's one of my sprinting buddies. Love her very much. I eat a lot. She's so quick. She writes so fast, and I'm a little competitive, so I've been trying to get faster to catch up with her. Yeah. So We do that.
Like it's the good kind of competition.
It is.
It's
It's
the
very good.
competition where you both get a little bit better.
Yes, exactly. And even if I don't win, so to speak, I've gotten words written down, and that's really it's. There's a third. Her name is Kelly Sheridan, and she writes with us too. So we all three of us check in just about every day, and we do sprints, and that's really, I think, where I get the most done because I've got the accountability. There's a little bit of competition, and we're showing up every day, which is super important.
So you guys, are you all in the same time zone?
No, we are.
Okay.
No, but it worked out. I'm in Arizona, so I'm on Mountain Standard all year. I don't switch time. We don't do that here for some reason. So they do. So when daylight savings kicks in, we switch. So they're in, I think, Central and Eastern, or Kat might be like, she's super far east in Canada. So I have no idea. But the way our sleep cycles kind of go,
Oh, so it works out.
it works perfectly. So I'm always up
I'm an
really early.
rising.
Yes,
Yeah, exactly.
so it works just fine. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh man, how did you guys find each other?
Kelly and I actually used to work together. I used to edit for her back when I first started in like 2012. So we've known each other for a while. And then she met Kat, and they started a little like accountability group. And I kind of, hey, can I join too? That would be really nice. And so yeah, we have a Slack channel, and we show up every day and say hi and do sprints, and it's kind of nice. Super nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How much do you think that has benefited? Like how much has that brought to your author career, having that accountability and that friendship?
It's been just completely invaluable. I don't think I would be here at all if it hadn't been for them, because we set goals together, we cheer each other on. When we're not having great days, we're there to pick each other up. We've been doing this for years now, and we've all kind of been like, okay, this is going to be the year for a couple years in a row, and it never really was. So this year was the year that we really, put our money where our mouth was and, and actually did the stuff. So, which is really exciting for all of us to kind of be in this together and commiserate, but also celebrate and be accountable. Just that it's so hard to do this on your own because you're, it's just sitting at the computer and there's no boss saying you have to do this each day, get this much done. And, the deadlines are up to you as a self-published author. So having that friendship and accountability is just, I can't even, I would not be here today without it.
I think it's do you find it interesting that like so many people like always wanted to be a writer, love writing. I find it so interesting that when we finally have the opportunity, or even if we need to make it, but if we have the opportunity, like anybody, instead of watching a TV show, could be writing. I find it so interesting how difficult it is sometimes
Yes.
to do the thing that you love.
Well, I completely agree. And I saw someone talk about, now I wish I could remember who it was because I'm not taking credit for this, but someone said that we love writing. We really love writing, but it's not the same to make sure the story that you tell from start to finish is a complete, coherent book that's going to keep readers' interest the whole way through. I think just writing in general is great, but when we're writing, 50, 60, 100,000 word books and trying to keep track of every single word to make sure it's precise and to the point and it's going to keep readers' interest and have them hooked to read the next book, there's so many things that I think us as professional writers who want to make money with our books know that writing that book is just the first step. So you're opening yourself up for a world of more work once you finish that book. And sometimes that's intimidating as well.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
The writing part is just so small compared to everything else we have to do.
Yeah. And you have to really love it. Like
Yes.
I've been telling some other people, like reading I love. Writing is not my first love. It's like, so I told people, like, if I like baking. I like baking. And at one point I was like, maybe I should start a bakery. And then I tried to imagine myself waking up every morning at like whatever time in the morning, because when you have a bakery, it has to be real early, and baking. And I was like, pretty soon I wouldn't love baking anymore because I'd be having to do it and it would take the joy out of it. And so, when you want to be a professional writer or in any business, you have to really love it
Yep. I
in a
completely
way
agree.
that you could do it every day and put that work into it.
Yep. That makes a
I
lot of
like
sense.
helping writers. Like
Yeah.
that's what I can do every day. But writing itself, so I think it's really powerful to have that love for it,
Yeah.
because it is a lot of work.
It is.
So speaking of a lot of work, what are some of the things that you're doing to, besides just the writing? What are some of the things that you're doing for your writing business?
Yeah. So like marketing wise, or
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. Or
let's
just
the M
generally.
word. Let's talk about
Yeah.
that.
The M word. I know people, there's a lot of resistance around marketing,
There is.
Eliza.
There is. I wouldn't say I'm reformed yet, but I resisted for so long, and I think that's why it took me so long to get to, I've been writing forever, but now I'm finally treating this like a business, but it's because I didn't know what I was doing, and I still don't. I'm not going to claim that I am some expert. In fact, May is going to be the month where I put marketing ahead of things and learn way more about Facebook ads and Amazon ads and all that kind of stuff. I'm running some, but I clearly am not. I'm
Like
not very good
you
at
could
it.
know more.
Yeah, I could definitely do better on those things. But the things that I do feel like I'm doing well, I'm building up my newsletter list. I feel like that's so important. And really being able to launch the way I did with newsletter swaps with other authors in my genre was really just what took my launch to the next level. I mean, it wasn't like, I'm not a household name or anything, but I wasn't selling books, and then I started selling books by doing that. And that just made a huge difference in my confidence and my abilities to actually treat this like a business.
Oh, that's what I found is so powerful about marketing. It's
Yeah.
not fun until
Nope.
it starts working.
Yes.
And then you're like, this actually,
Yeah, I can do this. This isn't so bad.
this isn't so bad. When I do this right, I get
Yeah.
results, and that's fun.
Yeah, just taking the time to learn it has been almost a challenge for me because I know what I can control is writing that next book and getting that next book out there. But if I don't have eyes on my books, then I'm not selling them. They don't just magically find sales because you put it up on Amazon. So you do have to find a balance of both. And that's really what this year is about, trying to figure out for me how to write that next book, but also learn how to market better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard because it's hard because
No, go ahead.
everything changes. I'll learn how to do Facebook ads and then they'll throw up some kind of update to their system and who knows, what might happen. But I'd rather try to be more familiar with it now and be able to weather those changes and stay adaptable, because I really think that's key to making this work long term.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you were saying about having a newsletter and doing newsletter swaps.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody that I've ever talked to has been like, newsletter, because
Yeah.
then if Facebook changes, if you have an audience of people who are with you, you're okay.
Yes.
Because they're on your newsletter.
Yep.
So speaking about newsletter swaps, okay, and then a lot of people, I'm going to ask this for the people who haven't started a newsletter or just barely starting.
Mm-hmm.
When you started doing newsletter swaps, did you have a newsletter?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I was still building it, and
Yeah.
I have found, because I write I have another pen name in another genre that I don't like publicly claim, but I do find it harder to find newsletter swaps for that genre. So I feel like writing the sweet romance, the clean romance,
Mhm.
even if it's like clean, I guess clean books in general without a whole lot of swearing. There's no like on-screen sex or things like that.
Fade to black.
Yep. I don't even write that. Mine are super Hallmark, like they kiss at the end. That's like, that's it. Yeah. They're emotional and they're, it's a little cheesy, but I love it so much. Oh my gosh. But I have found it very easy to get newsletter swaps in there, even if, like at the beginning I only had, maybe 600 people on my list from writing my magnet and gaining people that way. And I'd say, I've got 600 people on my list. So, it's cool if, only people with about 600 people on their list want to swap with me. But some of the names that I had been following, trying to learn what they were doing and get in that way, they were totally willing to swap with me. So it was just way easier to, I guess maybe it depends on the genre, but I've had so much good luck with the wonderful people who write clean romance.
People are, I think, indie authors generally are really generous.
Yes.
And they're like, sure. Like they need content for their newsletter too.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
like everybody has to find content for their newsletter.
Yep.
Now you said your lead magnet, which is so marketing savvy. Look at
Yay!
you.
Look at me go.
So you got your first 600 from your lead magnet.
Mm-hmm.
What and where is your lead magnet?
It is on my book cave and book funnel. So
Okay.
I have them both up there. And then what I do is I generally look and see if they have any group promos that I can do that my genre fits. So I generally stick to just the clean romance. Not because people who read like steamier romance don't read clean romance. It's more because I'm trying to be market savvy. You know, I want to keep my also bots clean. So I stick with the sweet romance, clean romance genres on those promos and share in my newsletter to, you know, do my share of getting people their newsletter subscribers too. And it's been really cool to watch that number go up, like without a whole ton of effort. Just I wrote my one book, or it's a short story. I've got two of them actually up there. One's up for my billionaires and one's for my sweet small town series. So yeah, putting those up there and getting in those promos has been super helpful.
How short are your stories?
Yeah, the billionaire one is 10,000 words, and the small town one is 18,000 words.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just giving everybody an idea.
Yeah.
And did you get professional covers for those?
My husband is actually a graphic designer. So.
Nice.
Yes, I know. I'm so blessed. He's so good, and I don't like asking anybody for help ever. Like, that is just not in my DNA or something. So I don't like asking him to do it, but he's like, you don't need to pay somebody. I will just do it. I'm like, okay. So I ask him, or sometimes he'll be like, hey, do you need any covers made this week? I'm like, oh, yes, actually I do. And then I don't have to ask, which is nice. But
oh my gosh.
I'm very, I count my stars. Yes, he's my absolute biggest supporter in this. It's been really cool to see.
So we're all going to rush over to your Amazon page to see the adorable covers that your husband has made for you.
Yeah, he's so good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, they are professional covers. How lovely is that? Okay, so I know, what a good guy.
Yes.
I have a couple of questions. I'm going to swing back around to one of them, but so we've been talking lightly on branding. Because you even like branding, want to keep them in brand.
Yep.
Yep. So, can you talk a little bit about what that means for you?
Yeah. So for me, I mean, I have like an author logo, and I think that really showcases kind of what you might expect from my books. But the book covers themselves, I want to be series branded. So you'll know just by looking at a cover what series it belongs to. Not necessarily because I don't even think I have a series name on my billionaire books, but they all have the same fonts. They all have the same positioning of the title. They all have the same, there's a guy, a nice looking man on the front of the cover, of course. And then there's a background that kind of describes what you might find in the book. So one of them takes place in Denver, so he's in front of some mountains. One of them, my next one, actually takes place in fall, so he's got like a nice fall-looking background. So I try to keep everything from like the font and title placement to the general feel of the cover all very tight, so that they all look like they're part of a series.
Okay, and look like other books
series
in your genre.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. So
like,
I did a lot of research. Yes. You gotta, look and see what's selling right, and which genre you're trying to write in, and even your certain niche, like the billionaires are a niche of the sweet romance genre. So tried to check out what other people were doing and then put my own, my husband's spin on it, I guess. He's the one who, he's like, what do you think? I'm like, okay, that's great. Yay.
So I was curious about this. So the billionaire romances are still sweet, clean billionaire romances.
Yeah, and I think I tried. So when I first had my logo made, I had sweet contemporary romance because I didn't know that clean was a thing, or like they were different. And to this day, I mean, it's debated. It's really hard to find like the actual. Some people think sweet means this, and some people think it means clean, and clean means I don't know. It's crazy. But mine are, I guess, I try to write them clean and wholesome. That's a new category on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, yeah, there's just a kiss, maybe two. There's no foul language or no violence, no sex, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wholesome.
Yeah.
What does that even mean? Wholesome.
I know. And there's always that thing where people get irritated about it being called clean because the opposite would then be dirty. And I write the other kind that's not clean. And I don't love using that word, but it's what Amazon called it.
No, I understand. This is me having my own like little mini like,
Nope, I feel it.
I don't know, but I do understand marketing, and
Yeah.
so if that's what your readers are calling it, that's
Right.
what you call it.
Right. I've got to put it where it goes so that the readers can find it. So, yep.
You're not trying to make a statement.
No.
You're trying to make a career.
Yep. Yes, please.
So, I'm curious because a little while back you were talking about why you love writing what you're writing because it's cheesy.
Yeah.
I was like, cheesy? 'Cause
Yeah.
I love cheesy.
I love cheesy.
Like so cheesy. So I'm really curious if you can talk a little bit about what do you mean cheesy?
Yeah. Well, if you watch Hallmark movies, those are pretty cheesy, right?
Mhm.
I would call them a little cheesy. I think Hallmark are a little more surface level than mine. I do like to go a little bit deeper, and obviously with words we have a little more room to explain thoughts that are going on in people's heads. So, maybe I haven't read any of the books that Hallmark has turned their movies into because I know they were doing that as a project. So I don't know what their books would look like, but their movies are pretty, everything's happy in the end, that's where it's headed, and there isn't a whole ton of drama, it's just kind of like surface level stuff.
Mhm.
So that's kind of like the main gist, but I do think that my books go a little bit deeper than, it's not just surface level because I need a little thicker of a story than that, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's
So
pretty.
give us an example of like a conflict in one of your books.
Ooh.
Like a cheesy conflict.
Yeah. Nope. Here we go. Okay. So my first billionaire book is about a woman who she's a reporter, and she messed up her last assignment, so she has to make it up to her boss by this next one. So she's assigned to find out the truth about what this billionaire is doing with his business. It seems like something shady's going on, so she has to go figure it out. Well, when she goes to meet him, she's confused. His secretary confuses her with the new chef that he was hiring for his own personal home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a mistaken identity kind of thing, and she doesn't immediately say, "Yeah, no, that's not me." She tries, but her friend is like, "Oh no, yeah, that's you. Go ahead," and shoves her into this, where she's got to pretend to be his chef to kind of get the scoop kind of thing. So I feel like that would totally be a Hallmark movie.
That's totally cheesy. I love it. I love that. I love it so much. You know what it makes me think of is like a soap opera, except without the sex part.
Yeah.
It's just like random,
Yep.
unexplained, and like very unlikely scenarios that could happen. but just cheesy ones.
Yep. I love it so much. That was one of those ones that I wrote pretty quickly. That was the one that propelled me into plotting, actually. I hadn't plotted it out beforehand. I kind of had it in my head, and then I started writing those scenes on note cards so that I didn't forget them. And when I realized at the end that I had basically made a plot but hadn't really realized it, I was like, oh wow, this is something I could actually do. I could try to plot. That'd be awesome.
Okay, so you had the idea. You were like, you had the scenario. You're like, she becomes, and then you're like, I want to have this scene, this scene. You just started coming up with fun scenes.
Yeah, and then I wrote them on note cards, and then when they were actually one kind of wouldn't work anymore, so I tossed the note card and then wrote something else and put that in there. And I was like, wow, that's a plot. That's like, I plotted ahead of time.
So is that what you do now? Is you come up with some kind of scenario, like since you're a reformed panther?
Yep. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, is that what you're doing? Go ahead.
Yeah, pretty much. Especially with my billionaires, it's kind of easy because the titles all have something to do with what's going on in the book. So I'll think of a title and go, oh, I could totally make something about that. Or I'll come up with a scenario where these two, you have to think of why billionaires would come across, regular people, or why regular people would come across billionaire. So second chance romance, or the fall one that I was talking about is a he was her brother's best friend, so that was like another trope that I wrote. But I'll come up with those and then come up with a title, and then I do an actual outline now. I do chapter one and then write it out and then kind of go from there.
So your process is that you know it's going to be billionaire. You're trying to come up with some scenarios. You go find some tropes and then you make a title.
Yeah, something like that. I think, yeah, sometimes the title comes, like I have to get into what the trope is. I think I come up with the trope first. I like to look at those because those are what sells. And I really like to focus in on that when it comes to my blurb. And then sometimes the cover, it's kind of hard because it's just like a nice looking male on my cover. That's really, it's not going to really tell you what the trope is besides billionaire. Right. I mean, because all the titles have billionaire in it. But yeah, I like to think about the tropes first, just to make sure I'm not hitting one that I've already done in the series. I don't want to do that unless, I mean, obviously the trope billionaire, they're all going to be billionaires. But beyond that, I like to layer them. So I have this whole long list where I'll go down the list and be like, oh, can I write a story about that? And then kind of brainstorm from there.
Where are you finding your tropes?
I'm in a group called the Writing Gals, and one of the women in there, her name's Victorine Liskey. She has a book, actually. It's called How to Write a Swoon-Worthy Sweet Romance, I think it's called. And in that book, but she also put it up in the Facebook group in the files, she wrote up a whole list. I mean, it's very, very long and very
extensive.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. Because sometimes I've just started reading a lot of books, and because I'm just starting to write, I mean, I've been reading a lot of books for a long time, but because I've just started to write, I've been trying to, I haven't yet, but I'm like, next time I find a trope that I really like, I need to write it down, because then later I forget which one it was.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I'm going to write, I want to use that one. And I have some that I don't like, and I remember those very easily.
Yes. Don't we? We're like, oh yeah, no, I don't want that. But
yeah, I really don't like second chance tropes.
Oh really? Oh, that's so funny. I write them. I don't know why I keep going to them.
I know. I can read them if they're done right.
Yeah.
But usually I'm like, you screwed it up the first
time. Right.
I'm like, too late, done.
They do need a really good reason for why it didn't work out, but it can work out now. Yes.
Yeah, it has to be. It can't just be like one was an idiot. I'm like, no, that's not good enough. Like, it's just going to annoy me. Not forgivable. You were stupid before. Too stupid. There's no coming back.
Nope.
Sorry, everybody who likes second chance ones. Sorry.
I'm not offended. We all like it's totally cool.
It's a thing. I'm sure there's tropes that I love that you're like, overdone, and I'm like, I know, but that's okay. I love it. So, okay. So let's see. Let me see. I think we've gone through a lot of stuff that I wanted to ask you.
Oh, good.
So let me ask you a couple more.
Cool.
Other questions. Those are the things for my notes.
Yeah.
Now let's go through. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the challenges that you've had as a writer and making this a career?
Oh, yeah. Well, besides marketing not being my thing, I think lately, and I've had a couple people tell me that I like the way that I want to write is we all just want to write books. Like if I didn't have to do all of the other things that I have to do, I think it would be a whole lot easier. And even then writing is still tough. Like it wouldn't be a walk in the park every day. But doing all of those other things is really why I focused on just building a backlist for a long time. So I was writing without making any money, which told me that I loved it. Obviously if I'm spending all my time on this and not making anything in return, then I'm doing it because I love it. So even though that was one of my challenges at the beginning, I think it was good for my mindset and a foundation for doing this as a business, because now I've got a backlist and I'm still working on my backlist as I learn to market all of the things that I've written. So marketing isn't, it's not really one of my number one skills, but I'm learning and I'm way more open to it now. I felt before like I had to do everything all at once. Like if I couldn't do Facebook ads and Amazon ads and get a book bub and do all this stuff, if I couldn't do it all together at one time, then it wasn't worth doing. So I started small and I built my newsletter list, and I'm up to almost 2,200 people on that list now, which is like, if you had told me that would have happened I started in December. So I had no idea where this was going. So that blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And if I thought that I had to do everything all at once, I never would have gotten there. So I finally told myself just one step at a time. It doesn't matter if you're even bad at it, just as long as you try and learn and get better. So it took me a little bit, but we're here now. So it's doing all right.
Yeah. Yeah, you are. And that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that is how it happens.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with writing. It's one step at a time,
Yeah.
except for when it's writing, you like it. And when
Yeah.
you're making it, you don't. But it's the same process.
Yeah.
And with anything that we do ever.
Yeah, I think it's hard I'm a perfectionist and I like to be good at stuff. So it's really hard when I can't be perfect or really good at something. So I'm like, oh, just forget it. I'll try something else. And
Oh, me too.
that's not how it works. So you have to do some of these things. So get over it, but
Me
it took,
too.
yeah, it's so hard. But
I am such a perfectionist, and that's why I didn't start a business for so long, because I was like, if it's not going to be perfect, then I'm not going to do it. And now I have a habit of completing things even if they're not perfect. I'm like, well, just do it. And I love it so much. I'm like, this is addictive. I love
Yes.
this.
I'm so happy for you. That makes me so happy. Sometimes it's tough to get out of that, but that helps so much. Like seeing your to-do list go, go, go. And then when you see your efforts actually gaining things, like it means everything. It's amazing.
And realizing that people are not as critical
Yes.
as I am of everything that I do. Yes, I'm way more critical than anybody else. Most people are like, that's great. I'm like, no, that thing was wrong, that. But finally I'm like, oh, if they're okay with it and I'm okay with it, and it's hard to be okay with it, but I am.
Yeah.
Then, and I actually, this is, just the other day, somebody was like, I'm nervous about this. And I was like, why are you nervous? And she's like, because it's the first time, I've never done anything like that. And I was like, yeah, it's my first time too. I am a little bit nervous. But I'm like, but it's not going to stop. Like I had to reflect about it, which is so different than I used to be.
Yes.
Like I was like, oh, I am a little nervous, but
Look
not that nervous. Not enough to stop me.
Right? Which is a huge step for people like us.
Gosh.
Like, yay!
Oh my gosh, such a huge step. So how do you stay motivated when you have like these things that are challenging? Because I know, how did you start taking these baby steps? Like, what was it?
Yeah, I think some of it was my sprinting group with Kat and Kelly, because they had been through a lot of it already. And we'd been working together on, taking it they remind me all the time, one step at a time. Like, you don't have to do everything all at once, because I still try to do that today. But being with them really helped. And then taking that, I was going to relaunch last year and I didn't. So I had basically a whole year to build up some of those skills and learn as much as I could. Basically in the Writing Gals group, because they're not completely sweet romance in the group, but the 4 women who run that group are. So I got in there and I was asking questions and tried to learn from the questions other people were asking, and they would post how things were working for them. So seeing that other people were doing it, that made it a little less scary. Like it can't be that bad if all of these other people are doing it. Maybe you just don't know about it. So trying to learn a little bit every day kind of helped. But it's not like, I still get in my head about a lot of things, especially lately. Like, I don't know what it's been lately, because I launched and I've been publishing and people are actually buying my books when they weren't before. So now like the pressure is on a little bit. It's like,
this is really happening.
Right? This book has to be at least a little better than the last one or something. At least as good. I don't know. Oh my gosh.
It's not just going into the void and having no response. It's actually happening.
Right. It's pretty scary sometimes. So I have to let a lot of that go and just remember why I'm doing this. My why has to be really strong. So I have a big lofty goal and I'm not going to accomplish it this year. But it's a 4 or 5 year goal. So I'm not worried about it. But I still am. Like in the back of my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, could this next book like tank my dreams? Oh my gosh. Every time it's just like all of these things that I'm worrying about. But I take a breath and talk to Kat and Kelly, because they are my voices of reason. And then I can get on with my day and I can get my writing done. And usually that helps. I have some days where I'm just a lump of a human on the couch, but that's it's self-care.
I have those days.
Yeah.
I have those days about for 2 or 3 days every month. like, I'm a lump on the couch.
Yep.
Nothing is happening here. And finally, what advice would you give to authors? Like, what's your best advice for other people who are a few steps behind you?
Yeah. So I think, especially if you have a dream of making this a long-term career, I think it's important to consider writing to market. It's not what I was doing before. And I'm not saying that just writing to market is what's made me more successful than I was in the past. But being conscious of what people are expecting when I release a book in the genre that I'm choosing to write in has been super helpful. So I checked the Amazon best-selling lists for the tropes that are popular, what people are doing on their covers, the way they're writing their blurbs, all that kind of stuff. So finding out what's working for them and then how I can put my own spin on those kinds of things so that it's an authentic version of my book, not just a copy of somebody else's, but something that the market will still be expecting. I think that really helps. So when I was doing these newsletter swaps, people were clicking on my cover because they expected to find that. They're reading my book and then reviewing it in a manner that says they got what they were expecting and they liked it. So that has just been a world of difference for me and my success as an author.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have plans for like when you're really making it to write something else? Or are you like, I like this. This is fun. I don't have any problems with what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I don't ever like feeling boxed in. And I think that may be why I was having a weird couple of weeks because I feel like these are the things I have to write now and that's not how I want to feel. So yes, I do plan on, even if I might, make another pen name. I really want my Eliza Boyd pen name to be the sweet, clean romance that, people are expecting. That was the point of this pen name. So I'll continue to write these because I love them. I'll put on a Hallmark movie and go, oh yeah, this is why I do this because this makes me feel all the feels. Like I love that.
Yeah.
But I definitely do have plans to write other things just to keep it fresh, to make sure I'm still doing this because I love it and not feeling like I have to. I don't like feeling like I'm in that box of have to. So.
Oh my gosh, you and I have so many similarities. And so I'm like, even if I know that the have to versus the not have to, even if I'm like, okay, I have to do this for a few years, but eventually I won't, that's enough for me to be like it doesn't have to be like, I don't have to do it right now. Like, like I just need the freedom from at some point.
Yes.
Yes. Like, yes, this is what makes sense for me now. And I do need to do this right now. But at some point, I'll have more freedom. And that's enough for me to get stuff done.
Yep.
But still remain focused on what I really need to do, which is not do other things.
Right. Which is hard because I have so many stories. I want to write all the stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And then, I do have some editing clients, so I have to balance it with that, which is totally cool because that helps pay for because I do some paid promos with things like e-reader News Today and Robin Reads and stuff like that. So that will fund some of that stuff. And then my current goal right now, what I am working on while I'm building up to my big 5-year plan is I'm working on paying off our debt. So I have a solid why. Like I really want to pay off my student loans because I didn't even get a degree, so I don't even want to pay this anymore. So I have to finish this before it gets out of hand.
That's a big why.
It's a big why right now.
Having a why, I think, is so motivating.
The most important thing, I think, because otherwise, what are you doing it for? If you don't have a solid why, it's hard to get up in the morning and go, yeah, this is what I'm going to do, and put myself up to criticism, and people might not like what I write, and people might not buy it. I might have just done it for nothing. But if you have a reason why you're doing it, I think that's so powerful to get you going when it gets tough.
Yes.
Yep.
I agree. I agree. And I have shared my why a number of times, you guys, but my why is definitely like I met my husband later in life and he's 16 years older than I am.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, he's significantly older than I am. And we met.
That's a trope. May December.
I know. I'm in a trope. And we have a really sweet meeting story that would probably work for a clean romance.
Oh, yay.
But my why, not to go off on a tangent, of our adorable love story, of meeting, our first meet. What do you call it in the romances?
The meet cute.
The meet cute, yes. It was very cute. It's very cute, but I'm not going off on a tangent. Because the why is because we met later, we don't have as many years together. Like, it's just, we don't have as many years together. And I want our years to be full of like life experiences,
I love that.
Bountiful and full and exciting, and memories, like the kind of memories that when you die, you're like, we had a lot of things that happened.
I love
we did
so
a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And so my why is to be able to have that time and money to be able to do those things. Like, it's a big why for me, because probably we'll have like 35 years together, like about 35 years of good, healthy years.
Yeah.
Which is a lot, but it's not a lot.
Yeah. And it goes by quickly. So.
And it's going really fast. And there's been a few years, I do a thing at the end of the year where I'm like, what did we do this year? And there's been a couple years where it was like, all we did was work this year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, nope. We have to put some things in here. So at the end of our lives, we're like, remember that trip too? Remember when we did this? That's my why.
I love it. That's strong. Yeah. That's a strong one.
It's a strong why. It's a strong why. I know, everybody should have one. Okay. So now we've talked about your cheesy small town romances and billionaire romances. So can you tell us about your latest books, or maybe the first in the latest series? Do you have series?
Yes.
And then where is the best people to find you in your books?
All right. So the first in my small town series is called Staying In for Valentine's, and it's in like a bed and breakfast inn. She's an inn owner, which is cute. It opens up my small town called True Love, Arizona, where, cheese alert, everybody finds their true love. I love it so much.
I never thought I would like sweet romances because I really like sexy romances.
Yeah, I do. But
I'm really liking the cheesiness of these.
Yay, me too.
I love bed and breakfast ones.
Oh, yay, awesome. I know. And
yeah.
I wrote this one a long time ago, but I came back to edit it to release it. And I was like, wow, like sometimes, you get down on your work. You're like, oh, God, I wrote this book and it's just, whatever. I don't like it. It was probably crap. And then you go back to it and you're like, wow, that wasn't too bad. Like, I wrote a book. And it's one of my longer ones because I don't generally write. It's like 60,000 words or so. I try not to write that long. But yeah, no, it makes my heart happy when I think about it. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
Yay.
Okay. What's it called?
Staying In for Valentine's.
Okay.
Yeah. So the series is called True Love Arizona, and it's seasonal. So each season we'll get a book. I wrote 2 for winter to launch, and then my spring for best friends is the newest one that came out. So it's a best friends to lovers trope. Yeah, that one was really cute. I actually wrote that one recently. I wrote the first 2 a while ago, but I wrote that one recently, so that was fun to go back into that town. And I love the town and all the people in it. So, and then by the time this airs, I will have a box set of my first 4 billionaire books. So,
ooh,
yeah, I just did that, which was exciting. I hadn't released a box set yet, so that was pretty fun.
See, look at you marketing.
I know. I'm trying all the things.
I'm doing it. I just had a picture of my niece. My sister took a video of my niece. And
yeah.
She's almost 3, and she was cracking an egg and putting it into the bowl.
Yeah.
And she finished cracking the egg and opened it and put it in the bowl, and then she looks at my sister and goes, I did it all by myself.
Aw, I feel like that on a daily basis.
I know, me too.
Look at me. Aww.
I did it all by myself. I know.
Oh my gosh,
awesome.
So cute.
And where can people find you?
I am on Facebook, facebook.com/author Eliza Boyd. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Eliza Boyd Writes, and I'm KU exclusive, so all of my books are up on Amazon, just under Eliza Boyd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Woohoo.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. This is so much fun.
Yay. Thank you for having me. This was amazing.
Yeah, I know. I really liked it. Okay. And everybody, I hope you had as much fun as we did. Hugs and happy authoring here at Author Like a Boss.
If you love the Author Like a Boss podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes. Until next time.